Hello, everyone. This is episode 2 of the Uncharted podcast. Today we do have an extra guest, one of our engineers, Lucas Craven.
What's up, y'all?
He's one of our tracking engineers, and he also does a little mixing and mastering, things like that for us as well. So we just want to add him into the conversation. We're going to have a talk today about just like live performances as a whole, I feel like. We're going to go over a little bit about the Super Bowl performance that took place, as well as even kind of talking about just like live performances for like smaller artists, or even just kind of just how the live show business is going on today with like online shows and in person and like even Coachella and things like that. I'm kind of touching on those type of different topics. So first, I just want to introduce ourselves again. This is only episode 2, so why not? My name is Elijah Thomas. I'm the CEO and owner of Uncharted Records. Started off doing a little bit of audio engineering here as well, so I'll be able to speak on a little bit of that as we kind of touch on a little bit more of the knowledge-based things here. And I kind of run the day-to-day operations of the company. So I'm going to pass this over to Taylor, and then you can pass it on down the list.
So what am I talking about?
Oh, yeah, introduce yourself. Yeah.
All right, so I'm Taylor, and Hess is what everybody calls me. I am a mix and master engineer, do some tracking here and there, all around just musical type of person.
Yeah.
Keon?
Yeah. So my name's Keon. I'm the studio manager, engineer, producer here at Uncharted Records. So do a little bit of everything and got my head in a little bit of every single door here. But that's a little bit about me. But pass it over to Lucas. Give a quick introduction.
What's up, y'all? My name's Lucas. Been engineering at Uncharted for like 7 months.
Yeah.
Producing, playing piano, all that good stuff for like 7-8 years.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Everyone's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's important nowadays. You have to be
A little bit of everything.
just a little tiny bit of everything.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, like, you can't put yourself in a box. I feel like that limits you a lot, So, expanding that knowledge where you can, For sure. All right, so one of the things that we want to definitely talk today about was just the Super Bowl performance that just took place. Definitely one of those type of performances where I've seen, like, even on social media, Facebook, Instagram, things like that, people are talking about, like, this might be one of the best like Super Bowl performances that they've seen in a long time.
I think hands down, yeah.
They compare it down to like since like Michael Jackson performed or something like that, something as expansive as this. It's kind of funny though when I hear that, because I'm like, didn't The Weeknd just do something pretty extravagant?
It's like getting lost in a maze and everything.
And everyone just like, that was all right, until he saw this one. But so I kind of want to hear you guys' like opinions about like just how the Super Bowl performance was as a whole, like whether it be sonically, how it sounded, like the overall performances from the artists that performed up there. The dancers, everything, just an overall experience. So maybe even like first we can kind of talk about just like from the engineering aspect, like how did you guys think like the sonic quality of the actual sound was?
I thought it was cool. I think it was definitely interesting to hear what they came up with and how they wanted to portray the sound for that performance.
Yeah, true.
And I'm really curious. We were talking about it before this started, but I'm really curious to see like what was actually live and what was actually backtracked and just sitting in the background and what those guys behind the boards are really doing.
Yeah, because you got to make sure, like, it's the Super Bowl. Like, everything is on the line. There's millions and millions of dollars, like, put into this. So you can't afford even, like, a millisecond of something going wrong.
For sure.
So I definitely agree with you, for sure.
I think, like, that was a big thing for me, too, because, like, I feel like with a performance of that scale, you have to find out the balance of creating like you said, backing tracks and also the stuff to make sure that things don't go wrong, but still have the energy of like the live experience itself,
Give the audience the feel of it.
Exactly. Yeah, like you can't fake everything, So sounds great to the TV viewer, but then like the people that are there on the stage are like they don't get to, what I'm saying? Like I feel like a part of like concerts for me is like going there. Like I remember I went to like J. Cole's KOD performance. He had a live band there, and like that's what did it for me. It wasn't necessarily like the songs. It was like the live band, and for him to be able to like manipulate his performance in whichever way he wanted to. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was like the dope part.
Well, I think anytime you get live instruments involved, it always it creates its own atmosphere, and it gives you that live feel, and that's what that's what it is. It's live instruments. It's a live show.
Yep.
Now, of course, pretty much any show in the past maybe 10 years, there is backing tracks just about for everything.
Yep.
Or some programming that is being done, just to give it that extra little bump. But I was very impressed by it. And it being like the first actual like hip hop halftime show in the Super Bowl.
I definitely know that as well. Yeah,
very true.
Yeah,
definitely think no matter what, it's gonna go down in history, like when Beyonce and Jay-Z did it, or when Timberlake and Janet Jackson had the wardrobe malfunction.
Oh yeah, the most infamous like malfunction ever of any live music
I
show.
think it's gonna be in that category for sure.
I definitely agree with that.
No, there were some things too, like I would like to know why they didn't like have the stage open.
Yeah, I was thinking the same
it was
thing.
360 view.
Yeah.
Especially paying that amount of money for tickets.
Yeah, then you only
And all you see is the back of like all the house like props that they had.
Yeah. No, that stuff. I definitely would have been pretty bad.
But the performances were good, I mean, they're what you expect from people at that caliber.
Yeah.
Obviously put a lot of work into it, and there is a lot more involved. I mean, not only do you have, the monitor engineers, you have the, I guess you could call it the front of house engineer, and then the broadcasting engineer.
Yeah.
All have to work in tandem to make sure it does sound like it should when you're watching it.
For sure.
Which millions of people watched it and weren't there. So.
I couldn't imagine like the pressure of like
Oh no!
that up and then like being in sync, making sure that everyone is in perfect communication.
Yep.
Like man, respect to them.
It's been pretty funny too because like recently I've been taking some time to like look into like InEar monitoring systems and like how people do mixes for them. So I can only imagine like who was sitting down designing those mixes before the performance. You know what I'm saying? Because everyone had an in-ear in. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I can imagine being the guy like
even
sitting
the
down.
dancers maybe
Probably because they got ear. Yeah, they got other dancers too.
I think the main thing with the in-ear monitoring, I've only used them once. When I was at school, so it works just as a monitor though.
It's just like hearing things back.
So you know how like you would have the performance monitoring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that is what the in-ear is for.
The same thing.
So you're sending from monitor mixes. So that one I think would be a little bit easier to navigate. I mean, obviously you have to have a lot of you got to make sure those battery packs are good, and you got to have backup options and stuff like that. But and make sure they're getting the signal.
I was thinking though.
Anything wireless, that's the main issue.
I'm thinking an aspect of like, because like in live performances. For like drummers, they want to be able to hear themselves up more up front or something like that.
Yeah.
So they know, you know what I'm saying? And certain like guitarists need to hear themselves more. So I was kind of wondering like this all kind of places the same ideas like what's actually live and what's not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
because
the big question.
Yeah, because if all these guitars are live and stuff like that, like well then these guys need to be able to hear themselves play. Mm-hmm. If it's just the backing tracks, then it doesn't really matter. Like you said, it could be the same mix through everybody's headphones. You know what I'm saying? They're just kind of playing along. To it, But I definitely think like if all these guys are like doing their own thing, that's a lot. That's a lot that's a lot of channels.
It's a lot of preparation.
Yeah.
But that's what these guys do.
That's true.
That is what they do, and that's why they're at the level they're at. It's not just a lot of people are good at guitar, a lot of people are good at drums, but not everybody's exceptional.
That's true.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between like having studio players and then live players.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's backing tracks involved in that. You can definitely tell there's live stuff going in. So we don't know which one's which, and they probably would never release that. But no, it's wild.
This live performance on a whole is a whole nother scale of everything. Like I talk about this all the time. Like with me, like being a DJ, like no disrespect to myself or other DJs, like I can like mix in and out and like play on both decks in the mixer, but to be in front of a crowd and DJ, I couldn't. It's a lot easier for me. I couldn't imagine like Motley Crue and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like you're playing in front of like 100,000 people and you can't mess up a single thing. I couldn't imagine the pressure on like those guys and everything. It's crazy.
You know what's interesting about like the DJ side of things? One of my close friends is a DJ, DJ Six. He actually has done like a lot of shows out here. He does like parties and things like that. And he told me like sometimes you create a mix. You know what I'm saying? Like a mix that you want to play for people, but knowing how to adapt to the energy of the crowd is the hard part. So like in terms of like when you perform, like you have a set that's already pre-made.
Yeah, everyone's like getting slapped in the face with like heavy bass music. So
okay. Because I always thought about like like I feel like that's probably the hardest thing with DJing is like also it's that same aspect like being dynamic to what the crowd is wanting, and it's also the same
You
thing
have to
with, like,
read them for sure.
yeah, it's like something with being like a live band, you know what I'm saying? You got to know what the audience needs next, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so
My thing is just like guitar players and drummers, like my fingers don't fumble over each
Yeah.
other, and I'm like playing like off chords and everything.
Yeah,
like oh no.
I think that's also like what Taylor said. Those guys are like exceptional. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very
exceptional
true.
players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like stuff like this is the stress doesn't even make a difference anymore to them. You know, it's they just do it. You know?
Yeah.
They just do it. You know.
Of course, they've been probably rehearsing it for months. and
Very
months.
true.
Yeah.
Especially for that level.
We were talking about just prep. You know what I'm saying? We were just talking about prep as well. Like I can imagine how long that these guys were, especially even the dancers and stuff like that. Certain. I know these guys, especially the ones that were like next to 50 and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They have to get these things down packed. Kendrick's thing, that's like they gotta get that down packed. You know what I'm saying? That's not
months and
Yeah.
months and months. Of
That's not something you just
preparation.
do last minute in 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So you
Yeah.
just throw it together. Like, yeah, I can imagine the level of preparation for one of those type of shows. Like, you know, doing a concert performance and a tour is one thing, and then you go to that level, and then even just like doing like what you say, like a little what's it called? What are those like shows that you call like a Geek Easy or something like that? What's it called?
Like open mic type
Yeah,
stuff?
open mic type
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like even people who rehearse for that stuff, it's just like skills, man. The skills
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
huge skills to the stuff.
It also falls a lot into just the stagehands, because the
Mhm.
props are important. The lighting, running
Very
all
big
those
thing, too.
cables, making sure they're hidden,
Yeah.
making sure you're not getting interference from
Yeah.
the actual facility
Very true.
itself.
Especially for live TV.
Yeah. I didn't even think about the stage. Like you said, props. I didn't even think they had to build that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to build that all out. If you think about it,
Yeah.
like they had to bring that all in and get all the camera angles to make sure that
Yeah.
the lighting was perfect for everything.
That's true.
And that everything wasn't gonna be like reflecting off of it. Like man,
Yeah.
respect to
And
everyone in
you
that.
do all that, and then one cable goes out, shorts out.
Yeah.
You gotta find it, and
They got backups on backups and everything too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, which of course they've got like crews, just
Yeah,
massive
yeah.
amount of people and stuff like that.
So at the end of the day, it is a performance.
Yeah.
And we're kind of on the audio side, so
Yeah.
we're a little nerdy about that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
of course.
So at what point for y'all does it matter that it's just a performance and that this is all pre-recorded and
Damn.
none of this is coming from a live? No one's playing guitar. Anderson Paak has no mics on his drums.
Yeah. I did notice that, right? He
Yeah.
had me mics on there.
I think he had
playing.
one snare mic. That was it. That was it.
God.
So at what point for y'all does that matter?
I mean, honestly, like for me, I feel like a big part is just like I don't know. I think the most I get out of live performances is when, like I said, you can adapt to the crowd. So if you're not able to do that, it kind of takes away that aspect of it, right? Like this is one thing I always say all the time. Why am I going to your concert if either I can listen to your song and it sounds better than your performance, or if I get the exact same experience, right? You know what I'm saying? If you're just gonna play on big speakers, what's the difference?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What am I coming to your performance for?
I think it's all like the scale of it too, like how big
Yeah.
of the event. Like the Super Bowl, like in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if more than like half of it was all pre-recorded and everything, if not everything, because it's such a grand scale of thing.
Yeah.
I think it depends on that type of stuff. Like I know DJs who like play like EDC and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they have a full pre-recorded set. Like
Yeah.
they're just pretending to mix on those decks. But
Okay.
you got hundreds of thousands of dollars. The stages cost millions to build. You
Yeah.
got fireworks and pyrotechnics to go off and everything. So I
It has
think
to
it
be planned
depends.
out.
Yeah.
It has to be planned out.
So you're
yeah.
saying the scale plays a big factor.
Yeah,
I
I
can,
think so,
I can
for
agree
sure.
with that. I can definitely agree with that. Yeah, I wouldn't expect a Super Bowl to do everything live. Like
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's true.
Isn't it, the Super Bowl is
Yeah.
the most watched like event in America every year, isn't it?
I believe so. I mean, it definitely has to be one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least attendance wise, it has to be. You know what I'm saying? Like that
I think for
thing's packed.
TV views, yeah, it's
You know what I'm saying?
crazy.
Yeah.
I
for sure.
think it really depends. Like obviously, if I'm going to a venue,
Mhm.
to see somebody headline a show,
Yeah.
and then they're using their instruments as props and then just playing their music over the speaker, I'm not gonna be that interested in it. It's
Yeah.
like
Didn't Lil Wayne get a lot of hate for that?
Is that what he was doing?
but-
that's
I believe
like
it.
I feel that's different because all of Lil Wayne's music's programmed. You know,
Yeah,
and there's a difference
yeah.
between having all your music programmed and then having live music or having need for live. I think it's more of like I'm not coming here to see fake play, like that's not why I'm spending my money.
Yeah, very true.
But at another aspect, stuff like this, I mean, it's a Super Bowl. They're in an open field. There's thousands and thousands of people streaming.
That's
Also,
so
you know, those particular artists do hybrid setups, so it is half live, half programmed, half this or half that. And like I was watching the bass players and guitar players. I mean, they had their battery packs.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Were,
yeah.
Connecting, so sending a signal to
somewhere
to the board.
Yeah.
While they're playing, so they're playing. There was enough playing live. So I don't know about the drums or anything like that, but at the end of the day, it's entertainment. And was it entertaining? I thought
That's
it was.
true.
I thought it was very entertaining. Also, they're not playing full songs either. They have a certain time limit. They're trying to get all these people out there. It's supposed to be a nostalgic. This particular performance is supposed to be this nostalgic, but still updated, showing like, hey, we're still here. We're still doing this. You know, and taking you back, or even bringing people in. You know that are born in like the 2000s.
Yeah.
It's definitely like bringing the hybrid of like the icons that kind of originated modern day hip hop.
Yep.
And then like bringing them back, like Taylor was saying, to like be like, hey, we're still here, but also having Kendrick in it is like, here's the new school, here's like the new like, because in reality, a lot of his stuff still has like a lot of like those old school kind of vibes.
Yeah.
The lyrics is more modern and the tempo of it.
And he's under Dre. So he's so he's on even though he's on TDE, he's still picked up by Dre.
Yeah.
So that's who he works a lot with on production wise. So I think it was all a good fit. I mean, Anderson .Paak was even on the drums, and I mean he co-wrote half of Dre's last album. Like just about like a lot of tracks on there. He was a writer on, feature on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Anderson .Paak's been putting in work with Dre for a very long time. So I think it all made sense. 50 was an Aftermath artist, Eminem and everybody. So it made a lot of sense bringing that West Coast vibe, Midwest vibe to there and playing these hits that everybody knows and loves.
You know what I found pretty interesting too? I talked to my mom about this because like a lot of Super Bowls, especially like the newer artists, like a lot of these like our older generations don't even like have interest in it as much because they're like, I don't listen to this type of music. You know what I'm saying? Like new school, But then like I used to literally look at like the TikToks and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you literally have people crip walking and they're like 50 years old. You know what I'm saying? 50, 60 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like this is my stuff right here. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the good old days. I don't know what y'all listen to.
You got these 50-year-old. Dads from Alabama
crip walking like what?
Wearing their New Balances and stuff. You're just like, what?
And I think that was like probably a part of it as well, is like you said, like trying to merge in the old school and the new school type of vibe. I think Kendrick was being the new school type of guy, but they did it well because they allowed it to kind of like open that door. You know what I'm saying? For people that probably didn't appreciate his music as much. You know what I'm saying? To actually hear it in the same context of everybody else.
Yeah, I feel like hip hop too is just a genre, and rap is just it moves so quick.
Yeah.
Like you listen to a classic hip hop station and you'll hear Kendrick now.
True.
Like,
that's wild. That's wild.
True. I did not
wild.
think of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And not many people even really talk about Kendrick much anymore. Like
in comparison,
like they were when Swimming Pools was released.
That's true.
Stuff like that, or Section 80.
Do you think that's because of the context of what he raps about in his music now versus?
No, I think people have about a 5-minute attention span
they
overall
can appreciate
throughout
it.
a day.
Yeah, they can. Appreciate
that's the
it
full
now.
day too. That's out of 24 hours. I think there's about a 5-minute attention span. And I mean it's a thing where like, if you're not keeping up with what everybody else is keeping up with, then you're not cool, I guess. That's how people look at it.
True.
And I think that's a big part. And Kendrick's not. Well, TDE altogether is the way that they, from what I understand, how they run things, or at least how it seems, they have a plan for everybody in the group. So like they're either gonna focus on Kendrick first because he has the biggest upper hand, and then they're gonna go to SZA, and then Absol, and then. You just fall down the line, Schoolboy, and so forth, so on, and so they're going to take their time with every single person. So while they're taking time for this, you're not hearing from this person because they still kind of follow that, release a couple singles and then release an album, and then hear that time.
Kendrick doesn't just drop projects like that, you know what I'm saying?
No, none of them do, and
yeah.
they fit the whole thing, and that's because they rely on their core fan base.
True.
Which is massive.
Yeah.
And they don't need to worry about anything else.
Being rushed or something like that because you might, you're appealing to like the rise and fall, you know what I'm saying, of like,
the industry and
everything. Yeah, stuff like that.
I think once you, like, all those guys are just on like a legendary status. So like once you kind of get to that status,
you don't have to worry about it.
You don't really have to worry about it too much.
I mean, like, if SZA drops an album, people are still gonna listen to SZA.
Oh, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter how long ago she drops some music, people are still gonna listen to it. You know.
But that's day-to-day stuff like TikTok and stuff. It's what's came out this morning. That's true. That's or true. Like what was first heard this morning. Yep. And I think that's what makes it's not that somebody's not relevant or not. It's just what you're into.
You know what's crazy? All right, we definitely have to have a podcast about TikTok because the influence it has nowadays is like it's ridiculous.
Crazy.
We can literally talk about this now, but it's gonna take too long. But
I don't even have TikTok.
Me neither. I don't even get my stuff on it because like partially because it's just like you see the level of addiction, you know what I'm saying, that comes along with it. And I'm just like I can't even want to start that. You know what I'm saying? Like even like with Instagram, I limit myself on that as well. Mm-hmm. But I can imagine, you know what I'm saying, like these algorithms are made to give you what your brain sees. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just dangerous.
I mean, it is. Dangerous. I mean, like 90% of it is steak and ass.
Yeah, no.
Like, how do you not get addicted? My two favorite things in the world.
I'm fucking dead. But valid.
There's some cookies thrown in the mix. I'm like, oh wow.
Oh shit! But no, that is so true. Like I had to raise up real quick because I went to a skating rink last night, right?
Yeah.
And I went there and I'm like, dude, I see these kids, right? These kids are probably like 15, 16 years old, right? And I see them and they have a speaker there. And I was like, I know what they're bringing the speaker here for.
Oh,
right? I'm telling you, everyone goes skating for like 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? We're closing up and they still got a speaker. We go outside. The second we go outside, they got like the 13-year-old fangirls waiting for them, and then they hit their TikTok dance, and it's so funny because I'm sitting there watching them, and they have like 30 seconds of dance. You know what I'm saying? Because the songs aren't that long. They have 30 seconds to perform, bro, and they're doing like 4 or 5 songs back to back. I'm like, yo, this generation is something different, man.
It's so stupid.
Yes, I mean, I'm like, I know, and the thing is, like, for me, I appreciate dance, right? But the thing with that is like, I know you guys didn't even make these dances. You guys literally just following something from online and just doing it.
Nor do they have rhythm.
Yeah, no,
at least be on beat. Like,
bro, when I saw it, I was like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous.
TikTok has created like this whole other side of like quote unquote influencers nowadays, and it's unreal. It's like the most like unsynced music. They're like doing these like little hand movements, and they're millionaires now. But you know what? They found a niche, so good for them. I mean, they're killing it.
The crazy thing is too, I saw this. Who did I send this? I can't remember who I sent it to. But Andrew Schultz was always talking about. I watch this podcast quite a bit. Andrew Schultz was talking about, like, apparently in China, I don't know if this is fact. You can never just trust YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But this is what he said, right? So he said that in China, in TikTok, where they made it, right, they actually reward people who create engineering and, like, high knowledge-based TikToks, right? So things that are, like, teaching children to actually, like, do positive things and actually, like, impacting society.
Yeah.
Then when they designed the algorithm for America, they literally tailored it in a way that like the youth would be following things that made nothing and impacted society in no way. And the only way that they see themselves as like influencers and impactors of and like it does nothing for society, but it just gains some likes or attention and things like that. So dance moves, throwing that thing back, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever it may be, and that's what's actually getting thrown out into people's phone and what's actually, you know what I'm saying, being popular. Which, if you think about it, like, from a country standpoint, that's probably genius. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm growing our youth to be, like, effective, you know what I'm saying, in the real world, while on USA, like, y'all think y'all are great, y'all think y'all are smart, but let me just give this little dance, you know what I'm saying, right here, that can do this. Yeah, let's slide this over to see y'all and see how much you guys can tame yourselves, you know?
One of the things is, and with China especially, because they still control it. They have monitoring. They have people that monitor it. In the States.
It's still based over there, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Even though
so that's how people get that's how people get banned and stuff, and then push certain. So like if you talk about something that China doesn't like, they will ban you from TikTok.
I believe it.
So that's how it's ran. That's how they can push certain things that they're or like way people talk or way people act or what they stand for. That's how they can push it out to us.
Okay.
Is through that, and that's fact, and that's why they do it in their country with a reward system.
Yeah, yeah.
And that goes for everything in China. Like it's on a reward system. Like you get vaccinated, you get social credits. If you talk a certain way, you get social credits. If you badmouth somebody or go somewhere that you're not wanted to go in certain areas of China, you get points taken away, and that shows you that's your social status. So like.
It's
being
kind of smart, but it sounds kind of bad at the same time.
It's very judgmental.
Yeah,
like it's I mean that's how you control a whole world of people.
Yes, yeah, no, for sure.
And that's the whole thing. So it's not based off your job or who you are or how much work you put into stuff. It's all about how if they feel that you're representing
what they want.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing.
I mean, it's the same thing with like trying to like mold people to be what you think is best. You know what I'm saying? Type of idea.
The beat itself. It wasn't so much about what they're putting with it. If there was even real words. That's why all those old hip hop songs from the 80s and 90s and stuff is just basically chants, like rhyming chants. Because they were just it was for a party. You get the crowd to lift their hands up, bounce, yell out, and so I don't think it was ever really created for people to do what they do on it now. I don't think it was meant to evolve this way. I think they took a little bit of everything, but I do also, to really answer your question, I think it was hip-hop was always a thing for people to relate to and listen to critically, more than it was just a whole talent, just a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Just from the artists themselves. It was a collaborational kind of thing. But that's how I feel, and I could be completely off base, but...
No, I kind of agree
makes
with
sense.
you. Yeah.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I feel like today, like, literally a rapper could rap on any beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
So, like, kind of what you were saying earlier, how they can just transfer over to pop and country and stuff like that. Like, Lil Nas X came out with country records, and now he's not even really doing that, but
now he's like pop.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been weird if he did like a record with Blake Shelton right before he transitioned over to like the rap stuff. Just because he came out with Old Town Road and it was like a big country thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
There's that argument. Was it actually country?
Oof.
On the road,
that's
so it sounds like a
I think the real argument is just because he gives us some southern twang, does that automatically just make it country?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The second you hit that path, so you gotta go all the way, bro. All the way. No, that's true. I mean,
but if a country artist went on to a trap beat, would it make it a trap song?
Yeah, make country
trap.
Yeah.
Which is a real thing. I understand
that.
But is it country trap or is it just...
Yeah, I feel like genres are so subjective now.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to put it in a box.
Yeah, you can literally just make your own genre.
Yeah.
Like, this is electro, country, EDM, dance music. And someone would be like, sick.
I love it.
Like, do you guys know who Avicii is?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Avicii started to do like all that stuff before he passed away. And he was starting to blend, like, he was working with, what's that artist name, like, Aloe Black and everything. He was doing, like, all this, like, EDM country hybrid. Like, he did Hey Brother and everything. It was just, literally, like you were saying, like, genres are, in all honesty, nowadays, genres are dead.
Yeah.
They kind of are.
They just, as things continuously take, what would you say, like, other sounds and, like, would you say just styles from other places, it's hard to put it in a box anymore. Like, even saying, like, hip-hop. It's hard to even like put things into hip hop versus rap versus trap, and certain things like R&B, like R&B is not even like R&B anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you even like tell someone what the exact definition of what an R&B song is?
Rap is more R&B than R&B is R&B.
Yeah,
in my opinion. I think R&B is more rap than it is.
Yeah, no, it's completely taking that sound now too.
I guess though, because like you could say like Tyler the Creator's rap, but Nardo Wick is also rap.
Isn't Nardo Wick like trap or nah?
I mean, yeah, but isn't trap just a subgenre?
They also call Tyler the Creator hip hop too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
So I mean, and what's the difference between hip hop and rap?
I don't think there
nowadays.
I don't think there is a difference.
It's all blended now.
I think, you know what's funny? I was reading an article on it.
Yeah.
This is what they said, and it actually kind of makes sense.
Okay.
Hip hop is being genuine and authentic to your reality. people who rap a lot of times are rapping about things that they actually don't do or they actually experience. But hip hop being a little bit more down to earth about, because like at the end of the day, like hip hop came out to like be a voice for like the African American community, stuff like that, right? To talk about like what was going on in our community, like our struggles and things like that, right? And so they're talking about like in terms of like hip hop is actually talking about things that you are actually doing and actually experiencing. You know what I'm saying?
Culture. I think more experience than doing.
Okay, yeah.
I think people got it for a long time. Got real confused with, well, they didn't really kill that person. No shit, they're not in jail. You know what I mean?
But then, but do you think like in hip hop, you think they were lying about the things that they did back then? I think they did actually what they did.
I think they
like all the '90s and '80s guys.
Yeah, I think they
like
actually. If Pac is always here talking about like he's effing Biggie's wife, I believe that he probably did that. You know what I'm saying?
I think it came out that it was true.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think those guys are lying. You know what I'm saying? I call that hip hop. You know.
I think a lot of it was what they're doing, but there was also a lot of people what they're experiencing. You know, whether it's an older brother, like we put Plies in, for example. Plies isn't like this big gangster, but his brother
was.
Well, he's still in prison. He's been in prison for a long time.
Right.
Yeah,
So speak from somebody's perspective. Yeah.
You know, so but he's around that, and that's why he just took a different avenue and decided to speak about it.
True.
And I don't think that's any less than actually doing it yourself, because it's something you do experience, something that you're actually affected by. But I think
I can understand what you're saying though. I mean, I'm not gonna say the articles.
I feel if you're rhyming words and you're speaking over something in a rhythmic way,
that should be rap.
Yeah, you can call it rap.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Wasn't that just any song?
Oh, I see what you're saying, like rhythmic. You're saying like just like that's just like that could be singing technically, I guess too.
Yeah. I think it just depends on more so like obviously like rap isn't normally just a bunch of singing. You know, it's layered out differently.
Yeah. So I think we can all agree that
generally speaking.
Yeah. I think we can all agree that like hip hop and rap is kind of
the same thing.
Yeah. Nowadays it's the same thing.
The same thing, but also like it transitions into other genres now. And my question is the reason for that like programmed drums?
I think it's a big part though. Yeah.
Yeah, like hip hop was like, I mean, you go back and
like live. And
yeah. Like, I mean, like the people who really start like Alchemist, like everything he does is like a sample, and then like he just picks drums to go with them, and that sound became so popular. I feel
he's
like.
a beast.
Yeah, he is a beast, but that sound became so popular, and now you see that with like a country record or something like a rock record, where you go in, you'll do sound replacement, and I don't know if that's always been there, and like hip hop was just like the main genre to take control of it and really start pushing that.
I think it's been there for a really long time. It's just been there as long as, because you got to think about it, before that part of hip hop, they didn't have the opportunity, or they didn't have the equipment to even do
you gotta
that
cut
stuff.
it in on tape.
Yeah, like so you can only do so you can only do so much until that happened, and then when they find out, okay, well, I can do programming on top of this stuff for rock bands and music. It's made for the radio, because it has to sound a certain way. There needs to be a certain you got to be able to get those kicks fatter, and it's just so much faster to program than it is to spend 3 weeks on being like, all right, let's throw a blanket on the kick. Oh no, that's not good. Okay, let's throw a pad on it. No,
I think also it's the convenience of everything nowadays. You know, like
in terms of the ability to create it.
Yeah, and the ability to create it. Like you can have a 13-year-old like create like a Grammy-winning beat on his like mom's laptop nowadays.
Yeah,
very true.
Splice ruined everything.
Made it way too easy.
Like my buddy was telling me, like some like pop punk bands, what they do nowadays is, because a lot of those guys in like metal and pop punk and stuff like that kind of like are engineers and producers themselves. But my buddy was telling me that a lot of these bands, like the drummers will go into the studio, and also it's to cut down on studio costs too. They'll go into the studio, mic up their drum kit that they take on tour or whatever it is, and then just record it, and then have their own samples, and then just program them in and everything wherever they need. And it cuts down on bands and everything like that, and like their labels having to pay studio time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've mixed a couple bands' albums, and I've done sound replacement for them and not told them. Like I've handed them mixes and they've been like, oh, I want the snare to punch a little bit harder, and they're like, oh, I don't want any sound replacement. Like I don't want any splice shot touching my track. And then it's like you go through a couple revisions, they don't like it, and then you do it, and then they
that's what I want.
Oh, that's the sound. How'd you do that?
It just comes from lack of understanding of what is actually being done.
That's true.
And they also don't understand. I'll sample. Like if I was to sample a hit on a snare, it's still a live snare.
Yeah, it's still the same.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which a lot of those are. It's just you gotta think like your room has everything to do with how your drums are gonna sound.
For sure.
And also your mic choices too, because they all have different characteristics, and having a tighter room, a more lively room is going to play effect.
Yeah.
So, what's your guys' opinion on, like, let's say you have two producers. One producer does everything themselves. They played the chords, they played the guitar riff, they did the drums, they did like a whole drum track, then they went in and programmed all the drums, they did all that stuff. Then producer B, that's producer A. You got producer B now. He just went on Splice and typed in 80s type loop or something, and then dragged it in, and then found an 80s type drum loop, and then dragged it in, and then the beat's done, and it's better than that other producer's track.
I've definitely thought about that, and
How do
I actually
y'all feel about that?
I've seen both. So I have a friend. His name is Willie Collado, and he goes by Willie Beats, 305 Willie Beats. So he does that. I've seen that before. Like I remember, like me and Zeke would like look over his beats sometimes. We see like these loops, and we're like, this man's not creating anything. But then like we sit back and we're like, and we listen to the final product, and it's like, I mean, it's still a solid beat. But can we detract from his talent? Because it isn't something that you create from scratch, you know?
My thing, like, and so, like, when I was in school in LA, I used to, like, get into this whole thing because when you're in school with other engineers and producers, everyone's always talking and everyone's always, like, trying to, like, I think be King Kong and, like, be like, oh, I'm a producer. I make every single kick. I make every single snare. Dude, nowadays you can go online and every kick that could possibly be made has already been made.
For sure.
You know? And my thing also is, I used to never use loops and everything or one-shots and everything. I always try to do everything in MIDI and through synths and instruments.
Yep.
And I got to the point where I'm like, if I'm trying to progress myself, I have to keep up at a certain rate as a producer and everything to be able to send beats out and send like tracks out to artists. And it comes down to, if it sounds good, it sounds good. Like I'm not making beats for other producers. I'm not making beats for other engineers. I'm making beats and instrumentals and stuff for other artists, for the masses.
True.
The masses and the people who are listening to it are going to have no idea at all.
That's the thing, is that they'll have no clue.
No.
No clue at all.
I think as long as you're yielding a better product, that's all that should really matter,
That's
right?
really
Because
it.
like your time is money, and like how you value your time is important, right? So like if it gets you the same product, if not better, in less time, that's all that should really
That's
matter.
all that.
Yeah.
It's about swallowing your pride.
I hate that.
I hate that
so much.
I get a little
Yeah.
fun, like not wishy-washy per se, because I could really care less. Does it sound good? Does it sound bad?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. But at the same time, if you're like, yo, I'm a dope producer, and you're just legit just dragging all your stems out,
Oh, that's
It's
it.
not
Yeah,
the same.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
the same. It's not the
I'm
same.
gonna be like, I mean,
You can tell if
you
it's
can,
like
I mean, I can pick this
Yeah.
out and drag it in myself.
Yeah. I was gonna say like
But-
it's the same thing as almost like musicians. You know what I'm saying? Like when a musician is able to like, let's say like create something from scratch. You know what I'm saying? And be able to not only like, let's say like replicate something, but compose something from scratch, something like that. Those are two different levels of being a musicianist, right? Because like as a musicianist, you can say like, give me a piece of sheet music or something like that, and I'll play it back for you, something like that, and I'll be able to do that, or I'll be able to do a cover of a song. But for you to be able to create your own song from the bottom to the top, you know what I'm saying? It's two different levels of talent.
Yeah,
I feel
I
like,
agree.
you know?
That's the one thing that I think is like the caveat for me, is that I used to do that. I used to be the kid that would go on Splice and I'd mad lib Splice loops. Like I'd literally go
It's like
in,
stack them on top of each
like,
other.
just like pick the best ones, pick the coolest drum, and I think that was a great way to start learning production,
It
because
is.
I
Yeah.
learned what sound good, and I learned like what fits in what pocket, how this swings, like because these people, like, obviously they have kids on Splice, they're doing their thing, you know what I mean? They're doing the right thing, but every single time that I heard a song that used a Splice loop or a Looperman loop, whatever it is, that I had used, and then like it was in my production, it tore me apart.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, that's not mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I definitely agree with that.
like I've made beats and then like with loops, and then the next day I've heard like Meek Mill rap on that loop.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
like
man,
did I just like create something like around this entire thing?
Dead now.
Yeah,
I can't send it out. I can't show it to another artist.
But
Yeah.
if you look at the reason that whole thing was even created, it's more so for demo tracks, because not every artist, or like songwriter per se, is going to be able to just create a whole beat.
Yeah.
And have the time to do it as well, because they're worried about what they want a song to do, right? So they can just drag and drop stuff in, write a song, create it, and then get a producer to pretty much build it.
I don't know if that's why Splice was made though.
I think
it was made
because
to
the owner is a studio musician, or was. He's not necessarily a studio musician, but he grew up playing instruments. He came from a musical family, and it was kind of to have something quick for people to put together music, because music's moved so fast now.
For sure. No,
I thought it was just a sample library.
I mean, it is too at the same
yeah,
time,
yeah.
but it was, the idea is to be able to be like.
I don't know. I don't think it was made specifically for demo tracks. But
No, not specifically for it, but that was a big part of it, was to have something that a songwriter could sit in their living room with, Pro Tools, Studio One, whatever it may be, and be able to create an idea of a song. And
okay,
then
so
build off that.
Taylor, you're like the only artist here. Right? Or you former artist? I don't really know.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
right?
an
Yeah.
artist.
But so, in your opinion, if you sit down with two producers and they show you a beat that's amazing, but you had already heard the loop, and then you got another producer that did it all themselves, but it's just not as good, which one would you rather perform on?
I probably wouldn't go with either one, to be honest with you.
Alright.
I
I mean, you like both though. It's not like you don't like them. It's not. It's like you're looking for a beat. You're gonna rap today.
I guess it depends. I'm an advocate too. Like, if I have a sample, because hip hop is based off samples, right? If I have a sample and it's been used before, let's mess it up. Let's halftime it. Let's.
I'm saying finished beats.
Oh, finished beats.
In this specific scenario, you have to choose between one beat or the other beat. One's all original, one's all samples. And one's all samples, and one's all original. But you like the sampled one better.
Oh, it's a gamble at that point.
Yeah, but they're both good. They're both great beats.
I don't know.
Who are you going with?
It really would just depend on how much I like how much I'm vibing with the song.
Yeah.
Like, if it's all samples.
So it doesn't matter to you.
It does to some degree.
That's all the artist's perspective.
Because the thing is, I want my songs to come out original. I don't want anybody else to have what I have.
Yep.
That's just. But I also don't, like, if it's one sample in there, like a piano or something like that, and it's a dope sample, and I love the way it sounds, and somebody else has it, I don't care that much. But if it's the whole beat is just all samples,
yeah,
I'm probably not gonna go with it.
Yeah. I mean, this might be like an unpopular opinion, but I feel like the reason why things get corny is because they get overused.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like for instance, like the whole XXX thing with like the Shiloh Dynasty thing, I think that stuff was so cool when it came out, and now when I hear it, I'm just like,
it's overused. You saying?
Yeah, I just feel like cool stuff can definitely be made with it, and it's like, I don't know. I just hear it and I'm like, oh. And then maybe in like 20 years it'll be cool again.
It's the same thing. When I was just starting getting into music, we would all have like ciphers and freestyles and stuff, and we'd be finding, beats. And at the time, it wasn't like so and so type beat. No, you had to pick a song that had the instrumental online, and if it was if I really respected that artist, or it was one of my favorite artists or something, whether it's just me and my homeboys, freestyling over it, I'm gonna say no, because they already did something that no one can do it better than, because they mastered that thing. So I don't want to even hear their beat without them on it. Like multiple of us would literally do that. Be like, no, you can't. That's already been
done. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't. And that's just a freestyle with friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just almost like a disrespect thing. you did something, you killed it, you became known to have that sound or that sample or do that song. Leave it how it is. You know, this isn't Hollywood. We don't have to remake every single movie from the 80s. Like, we can make new stuff or you know, something of the sort. I don't know. It's a give and go thing. I'm not 100% against samples because I love samples. I love sampling stuff.
For sure.
But I'm also a big fan of I need a certain skill set. I guess to work with. Like if you just drag and drop everything and just leave it as is, like there's nothing of any originality to it to me. That's just my opinion. I could care less if people do it or don't do it. If it sounds good, it sounds good at the end of the day. But if me as the artist, yeah, I do pay some bit of attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is kind of like an unfair question, just throwing you under the bus there.
Yeah, but yeah, if this was a real world situation, I'd be like, all right, you're gonna have to pull up some more beats.
Yeah, that's definitely situational. That's a good point.
Okay, that's what's up. All right, well, I mean, you guys want to like move over to the next session? Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about in terms of the Super Bowl?
No, kind of covered it,
Yeah, okay. All right, so I mean, like, this kind of just moving to like the later half. It's just being more about like just live performances as a whole. You know, I kind of want to talk about like, you know, what would you say, like, especially during what probably the later half of 2020, right? Even Tiny Desk started moving over to like Tiny Desk from Home. Like all the live performances were kind of being done in recorded in an online format, then shared through there. People were doing like live stream concerts and stuff like that. No, we really couldn't do in-person concerts anymore, so that was like the only way to do it, right? Yeah. Even had Tory Lanez going viral, you know what I'm saying, doing his essentially like, I would say, pretty wild style on Instagram. I'm not sure, you guys remember it?
Where he shot Meg Thee Stallion in the foot?
No, not that. You know, he had this Instagram live thing, right? He would do it like super late at night, right? And then he would essentially just play like songs in the background, and he would invite people onto the actual streams.
No, that's what he's saying.
Do you guys not remember this?
No.
You guys,
I know what you're speaking of. I never watched it.
Really? I didn't really watch it like that. But you know,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But like, you just had like all these people doing stuff online. You know what I'm saying? To like kind of attract their fan base and kind of interact with them.
NGK was doing live
stuff too.
Out of his house. Yeah, even a few where he had Tommy Travis Barker.
Okay. Yeah.
It was like doing songs like, I don't know if it was in a studio or his house, but yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't Tech Nine doing like live stream shows too?
I don't know if he was or wasn't. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, I didn't watch it. I'm a huge Tech fan. Or I just never noticed that they were doing it. But it wouldn't shock me. I mean, they have a whole complex. Yeah. You know, buildings, and they have live studios and stuff. So they're very well quality.
Yeah. I mean, overall, like, that's what was going on, right? Yeah. 2020, even going to 2021, just a lot of online format for, like, interacting with fans. So I want to, like, get your guys' opinion. Like, do you guys think it's still important for artists to kind of do things like that now? You know what I'm saying? Like, COVID restrictions are opening up. Like, we're talking about how Coachella just removed a lot of their COVID restrictions, right? It's completely different now. Yeah. Do you guys think that, like, online performances or online concerts hold value still? And do you think it's a way for artists to actually be effective in attacking, like, new fans or even, like, being interactive with their current fans?
I mean, it also depends on the artist because, I mean, we are in kind of with some weird times right now with everything going on, and I know everywhere in the world, like each country has their own restrictions, and thankfully a lot of places are opening back up. I still think if it's like in line with the artist's schedule, because a lot of artists are starting to go back on tour and everything like that, I think it's still a great way to kind of reach the rest of the world and to kind of keep yourself circulating. I can only imagine that it's still very tiring to make sure that if you are having like a full team there with you, it's not just at your home studio. A lot of these like live performances for like YouTube and Twitch and like live streaming.
It was on a bigger scale.
It was on a bigger scale and everything like that. I know we like before the podcast we were watching Gunna's live performance and like that took a lot of time and everything. Plus they had like live instrumentalists.
A lot of cameras. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, everyone had their InEar mixes, everyone, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that was on the scale as the same level of like a live show.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say so. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Probably more production-wise.
Very true.
Yeah,
very true. Too.
I think it depends on their fan base. If you don't have a fan base, I don't think it's really that important. Because you got to remember a whole point of being an online live show is you got to have people watch it.
So what do you think is like you said, if you don't have a fan base, everybody has a few fans. Well, what do you think is the scale for it to make sense for you to do that?
Honestly, like Gunna. Like, I don't think if you have, like...
Gunna's pretty big.
Gunna's pretty big. I also think because a lot of these live streams and everything like that are uploaded to their YouTube pages as well.
Yeah.
So then they're getting millions and millions of views from YouTube. So then that's also going to their team. Mm-hmm. But if you're like a fan, like if you're an artist and everything and you don't have that much and you're getting 500 views on your YouTube, I don't really think. I mean,
so I was gonna say like
double-edged sword.
So like you're talking about YouTube, right? Well, we're talking about Twitch. We're talking about like Discord, things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like those are other formats for people to still kind of be like for the fans that they actually have like genuine connections with stuff like that.
You
right?
get like donations.
You get donations and all sorts of stuff from it too.
I know if I'm watching somebody live, I want to know their songs. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm saying that. Yeah. I'm saying this like not because that's what I'm saying. Like to interact with their current fan base, right? Like you're not a fan unless you're actually listening to the music. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying to like. Maybe like let's just focus in maybe on that for people who have their fan base. They know like the people that are listening to their music actually know their music. They're genuinely interested and they're trying to like follow what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say myself, I'm a pretty big like Brent Faiyaz fan, right?
Yeah,
So like Brent, I would say like before he probably dropped like his F the World album. Going into like that side of things, I feel like before that he still had like Saunders Son out, and he said he had a decent sized fan base then. If he did a live show at that size, I still would have watched him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Before he got the attention that he has right now. You know, so like, is that not enough? You know what I'm saying?
I think no, that is. I'm talking about people that have like they recorded a few songs and.
Oh no! I don't do that.
I don't think you need to focus on setting up a whole live thing. Now, if you have like a decent like amount of people that do pay attention to you, sure, yeah, that's cool. But not if I'm just saying, you know, your average person starting out. I would think you should focus on other things first.
I think you should focus on the music. If the music's not good in any genre,
but for the bigger artists and everything, I personally have really enjoyed like the intimate. Kind of,
I mess with it a lot. Yeah, I mess with it a lot.
Kind of like you were saying with the Brent Faiyaz example.
Yeah.
If he just had a concert and he was just streaming it on YouTube and it was just like he's playing to like I don't know 5,000 people or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's cool. I'm gonna watch it, but if he's like set up kind of like how that Gunna thing was,
that's all different.
Everything's set up. The production value is amazing on it.
Yeah.
Like that's something where I feel like. Fans can really get in tune with their and you even talk about like Twitch and stuff like that. Yeah, that's even more.
Well, essentially, it's just halftime of the Super Bowl, but for the whole time. Yeah. So that's like something you could have like friends over with bring chips and you know it is a show. It is entertainment.
But I will say the thing about that is Brent Faiyaz is like I feel like a great example of someone who could do that.
Yeah.
And connect with their fans in that intimate way. If you get someone like Yeet. Who just put out an album or something like that, that's all like rage beats. You know what I mean? They're not really gonna. I feel like no one's really gonna be like
they're gonna tune out after a few because you can only handle so much of that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I mean, that's interesting. Like, cause I actually am a pretty big like advocate for Brent as well, because he's been doing this thing like in a fully like independent route in terms of like actually making it make sense. You know what I'm saying? From the bottom to the top. Like I remember I watched like one of the interviews of like his manager and how they did things. And so pretty much what they did was what Brent started out as, he started doing shows to figure out where his fans were and things like that. And then he actually used like Facebook ads and things like that to kind of figure out where those hot pockets were. And the more those fan bases grew and they saw like response, that's when they started just touring more and more. And then the money that they made at those shows is what they used to help fund his projects to keep going forward. And then it kind of kept that same loop going, which kind of wild. Yeah. To be pretty cool.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy.
Yeah. It was smart. Very smart. Yeah.
He was one of those artists, man, that I just found randomly. Just a random YouTube recommendation, and I was like, all right, well, I guess so.
I'll look into it. Yeah. But I just think about like the overall, just like, you know, because at the end of the day, we help a lot of small artists, you know, so like we work with a lot of small artists. So it's like, what are some things that they can take away to like grow? You know what I'm saying? You know, I like you guys said, like, we only made a few songs. It's not probably affected. You know what I'm saying? If you go to a show in person and you're not bringing a few hundred people there, you know what I'm saying?
I think going to a physical show is different though.
No, but I'm saying, like, does that translate? You know what I'm saying? If you're not bringing a fan base there, does that even make sense for you to try to create an online show? You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
What do you do? You think so?
Maybe, because, I mean, the way that things are today, I feel like it's a lot harder to pull 100 people in a room than it is to get 100 people in a stream.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. If like
good point. That's a very good point.
I think you do need to start somewhere though, and the live show, because one thing that helped me learn how to perform on stage was my first handful of shows were in front of like 4 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not including the other artists there, but or stabbing. But like that's when you performing in front of like one person that's up near the stage and then 3 other people that are at the bar. Yeah, you got to learn how to maneuver, and that can translate anywhere.
Yeah.
It can translate in the booth if you wanted to, because you get super nervous when no one's watching.
Yeah.
Because you just feel stupid up there. Like I always felt stupid, but then it's like you get past that, and then you learn, and then you start learning how to like. You got one person near the stage, and then a couple shows later, then you got one person close to the stage, and then you pull in 3 people from the bar up to the stage, and then you're like, okay, maybe I'm getting a little bit better, and then you go from there, and then that just boosts your confidence, and helps you learn how to perform live, which will translate to the online live stuff. Because you still got to know how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't just have cameras on you and be like, oh yeah, it's gonna sound good. No.
It's not.
You know,
I
if you're boring, you're boring.
Yeah.
You can be even more boring online.
That's very true too.
At live,
If anything, you have to know how to perform better.
For
online,
yeah.
Because if you mess up in person, people are entertained by that. If you mess up online, they're just gonna turn it off.
Yeah,
Or
no,
it's
just
gonna
back
roast you in
out.
the comments.
Yeah, I think for like the smaller artists and everything, I think a lot of people too think they can just put the music out nowadays and it's just gonna blast off. Where just like social media on a whole and the internet has changed everything in the industry. I think for like a smaller artist, if they can use their creativity wisely to like maybe make their live stream more engaging,
Yeah.
I think that you can like pull in like some good amount of people just by like even your backdrop or maybe something you're doing different and everything.
You gotta become a meme today.
You do, seriously. I know Lil Nas X,
You see
when
how
Lil
straight
Nas...
my face is right now? I'm so serious.
Dead serious.
You guys remember when DaBaby was wearing diapers?
Yes, that's very true. A lot of people don't know about that.
Wait,
forget
I
about
don't.
Yes.
I
Baby
never
was
knew
literally
that.
wearing diapers.
People forget about that.
On like, on stage?
No, he used to just like post and he'd
Yeah.
show up to
Yeah.
shows and he'd just like show up
In a
to meet and
diaper.
greets with a diaper, just in a diaper.
The baby.
Bro.
And then he shot that dude in Walmart and became uber famous.
And it was an all go from there, bro.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, Pac did something similar. It's always been kind of like that. I mean, you remember when he took the bathtub photo? Like,
I was never the biggest Pop fan, so I
well, he
wouldn't
took
know his
he
beginnings.
was in a mansion and he was in the like bathroom with like chains or like, you know, half naked and stuff, and like take a photo. And at that time, like that's not gangster.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you should be different.
And
My
you know,
conscience
but
is telling me,
Yeah, I know.
but it was to market him to a whole different type of people, like you know,
Yeah.
to more females, you know, and then
That's true too.
instead of just all.
I mean, he
gangsters.
definitely had a lot of like female supporters for sure. I would definitely agree with that.
So and it's always been a thing, just shock people. I mean, and we go. I mean, there's almost every artist out has done something a little like
You have
that's
to.
odd.
As
Yeah.
weird as
Yeah.
it is, like you have to do something to get everyone's attention.
Yeah.
Everyone, like Taylor was saying earlier, everyone's attention span is getting shorter and shorter. So if you
Yep.
can do something outrageous, so that way when people are mindlessly scrolling on their phones and
Grab
you
their attention.
grab their attention, next thing you know, you're going viral on TikTok and everything like that. That's how I feel like TikTok has like definitely how we were saying earlier has changed like a lot
But
of stuff for
the-
music on a whole.
The baby thing. I mean, that fit his character 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, he's always been funny.
Yeah.
He's always been like, I'll do whatever I
Been a
want.
character, yeah.
Because the thing is like he's so confident. He's like, if you say anything to me, I'll knock you out.
And he
Like-
has done it time and time again.
So I respect that. Like, yeah, like
Yeah.
you know, like if you don't like it, come try me.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
shut up.
So what do y'all think about the shorter attention span for music nowadays? You think it's a good thing for music in general, or just not?
I think it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Because
Really?
I
Really
think
bad.
I think for me, especially like I have a pretty big appreciation for like people to create a broader experience and like story to your music. Yeah. You can't do that in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Bro.
Yeah,
you can't.
Point.
You can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember I was listening just the other day. I was watching that breakdown on Billie Jean, right? And this guy actually got the raw stems.
Oh, I saw that one too. Yeah.
Fire.
Oh yeah.
I sat back and I was like, "Holy, you telling me Billie Jean's almost like what, like 6-7 minutes or some crap like that? Like the full thing?" Because I was watching like
Did you record that on 7V? Sorry, I didn't cut you off.
Oh yeah, probably yeah. It was I think it was Billie Jean or Stiller, one of them.
It was Billie Jean. Are you talking about the one where the guy got the raw stems?
Oh no, we're talking about what mic you recorded on. I think it was on Simon B. I think it was Thriller. Thriller that did. Oh, yeah. But yeah, so what I was thinking about was just like I'm looking at the actual stems, right? Yeah. And you see like when Michael's actually active in the actual performance, right? That first like 3 minutes is probably like actual Michael singing. Then you have like another minute of just instrumental. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Then he comes back in again and hits like the chorus or the hook, whatever you want to call it, for like 4 more times. And it's like that extends out the whole song to like 5-6 minutes. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like nowadays, people would be like, I'm ending it the second off that 3 minute mark. You know what I'm saying? But that whole instrumental part, if you don't get to experience that, it's not even like the same song.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's a part of like I feel like the musicality and creativity that like you lose nowadays when all you're trying to do is try to fit so much into that little area.
Yeah. I don't think it's the music that causes the attention span. The thing is, because back in the 60s and 70s, you literally weren't able to get a song on the radio if it was over 3 minutes.
If it wasn't, or if it was?
If it was over 3 minutes.
Oh.
Back in like the 60s, 70s, they would not. That was like no. And then Queen kind of broke that with Bohemian Rhapsody.
Queen, yeah, they're famous for that.
You know, which they push. I mean, from what it's been said that the label pushed back on that. It was like, we're not going to release this. It's too long. Too long. And eventually it got to the point where songs, it didn't really matter if it was 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. If it was a good song, it was a good song. But I think it's more about, back then we didn't have the internet and stuff we have now, and I think it's bad on just a social level. The attention span. I think it goes beyond music at that point because it just teaches us to watch 15 seconds of something and then just say, "Oh, we know the whole story now."
Yeah.
Because we don't have the attention span to go research anything. We don't have the attention span to go read on anything. And that goes in, like, a lot of these young kids barely can read, You know what I mean? So, because they have no interest in learning things or using common sense or critical thinking for anything they do. They just let a 10-second video tell them how they should feel.
Yeah. My only pushback on the whole thing is that I feel like with the shorter attention span, it just allows for more music to be heard.
That's true. So it kind of gives like a lot more artists like a...
Like I feel like the percentage of music that comes out or the percentage of timeless music that comes out now versus like 20 years ago is probably less.
Way less.
But so much more music is coming out, so that doesn't even mean that less timeless songs are coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but there's a lot of music that comes out, and I'm like, I gotta weed through all this stuff that, like, is just horrible.
It's true,
Try to find something good.
Yeah, but also the songs that we hear from, like, 10, 15, 20 years ago that we hear, and we're like, okay, those are timeless tracks. We never heard the hundreds and maybe even thousands of records that other people released in that day and age that never carried on to our generation.
Even other popular songs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, that is true. I don't think I'm really upset about the time link, because there's still a fan base for any type of artist.
True.
I think it's just more terrible just on the fact, like I was saying, that encouraging that and only relying on short stuff and creating that attention span is bad just in general.
Like for the long term?
For people.
Talking about society.
Yeah, society, your mind and everything. Like I was saying, like I can't watch 20 seconds of something and then form a full opinion about anything.
That's why Twitter's
again, I gotta push back a little bit because I've seen 20-second like cook-up videos where I'm like, oh, okay, now I know how to do that.
Well, yeah,
I think, but that's always been about like efficiency as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Like efficiency of information. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one thing I talk about this all the time with like especially just like school. You know, like you have like professors that would be like, I want you to write an essay or some type of like review, but it has to be like 4 pages or some crap like that, right? why are you having me set up a minimum of how much I need to write versus just how much I can get how shortly I can get that point across? You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be like I do it all the time, and like it's funny because Zeke will actually correct me. Sometimes I'll write something out, and I'm writing too damn much just to get the same point across. You know what I'm saying? And a part of that is literally like school teaching me I need to go write all these words that are not necessary for me to get the same point across. You know? So I think it is a balance. It's a balance between them.
I think a lot of times having it is not the issue. I feel it's like being mandatory is the issue. To some sort, or being like, oh, you can't be in this, or like no, most people aren't gonna listen to this because they can't hold attention. That just tells me that a lot of people are dumb. Because they can't. That's why they can't hold their attention. They physically can't. Their mind can't process that much information at one time.
Dumb. I just feel like more people have access to it now.
With so much like information-wise.
Every content and media in general.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say I think like information you should always aim to create shorter with the same. You know what I'm saying? You should always try to compress as much information as you can in a short amount of time to like get that point across to somebody or get that information across to you, right? Because you're be more open to learn if it saves you time.
Right? Time management.
Yeah, time management, right? So like if I can get the same, like you said, if I can sit down and watch a 20-second video and get the same information that someone took me 5 minutes to teach me on another YouTube video, I'd rather watch a 20-second video.
In all honesty,
But in creativity, I don't think that should apply.
But so for these kids that are just looking for like the sickest beat drop, and then they hear this like 5-second TikTok thing, that's all they're looking for.
That's true. People are clout chasing.
They don't want to hear the whole song. They don't want to hear the 2 minutes and 30 seconds of you screaming auto-tune.
It's so painful.
They just want to hear, like you said, they want that little.
That's fine, but like, I just stand by. I don't feel like it should be like, I don't think it should be considered mandatory for that stuff.
Are you saying like mandatory in the creative side of things?
Yeah, like I don't think I should be held to do anything I don't want to do.
Or you're saying
no.
You're talking about in terms of like what type of music is popular. To some extent. I mean, the way it's kind of is like people are pushed to do certain things because that's what everybody. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Everything is going to.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's mandatory because everyone else is doing it. You gotta follow.
Yeah. Like I don't feel like it should be like that, and there's a lot of artists that are showing that it doesn't really matter. Because all TikTok is just stuff cut down. It can be a 7-minute song and cut down in 30 seconds.
Well, yeah, that was my point.
You know, which I get that, but I think at the end of the day, that's not what creates short attention spans. I think what creates it is telling people this is the only relevant thing, and telling them this is the way to look up your news. This is the way to form an opinion, which is what that is doing. They may not say that. But that's how
so you're saying like
that's how
it's like condensing down to a lot of the other things that you do in your day-to-day life. Is that it's translating to those other things.
Yeah, and also there's been TikTok songs that I'm like, oh, this is hard, and I go listen to it, and it sounds bad. There's like 5 seconds of greatness, and I'm like,
so you go to Spotify and you're like, wait, is this the same song?
I see why only the 5 seconds was popular.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know, it's just disappointing to me, and I get to a certain point like. Creativity is creativity, but people don't use creativity as creativity. They're just lazy a lot of the times. Not everybody, obviously, but I think a lot of people just get away with too much because they're lazy and they feel they don't need to do this. They feel they don't need to get their stuff mixed. They feel they don't need to do this or that. They feel they don't have to put money into anything. They feel like they don't have to care about anything.
Yeah.
And then for us people that care so much and put so much into this and love it, I'm not telling everybody, but a lot of these people, I'm offended sometimes by people succeeding from just being lazy. Yeah. It's not the people doing things smarter, efficiently. It's the people that are intentionally not doing stuff because they feel like they shouldn't have to. And that's fine, whatever, to each their own. But I don't know. That's the artist in me that's like wait a minute. Like if I go half-ass on a tryout, like a football tryout, if I'm going to, or a baseball tryout or whatever it may be, and I half-ass the whole time, and I'm not good, and then the coach puts me on the team because I'm likable.
Yeah.
And I'm another athlete that spent their whole life fighting for this.
Yeah.
And I'm on the team and go second string or something. Yeah, I'm gonna feel some type of way.
Yeah. I can agree with that. The only thing I was gonna say, even like in terms of more like the music side of things, right? I feel like just like music back then took more time to like even just create.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Even from a producer standpoint,
yeah,
man.
you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of this stuff was, before you could, like you said, program stuff, you know what I'm saying? You know, through the digital side of things, like, you have to record that shit, you know? Like, there's so much more investment that was into these type of songs, too. So I think that also just played into the overall, like, sound that you got from a reason, just, like, the overall thing that was created. Like, I don't think, if I probably look at Michael Jackson's discography, how many songs do you think he's made that are only, like, 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes long?
Oh, I don't think too many.
I don't think very many.
And that whole,
but it was probably some of the most impactful music.
And that whole era was like the beginning of the era of having music over
that like barrier.
Yeah, well, because it was so expensive to create music for that were
very true too. Yeah, I mean, studio time is expensive.
And then and then it's just the same factor, like I was saying earlier. Like if people aren't going to listen to a 5-minute song. Like, that was the understanding, early on. But it had nothing to do with people's attention span. It was just like, hey, a radio station does not want to play your song for 5 minutes.
Yeah. So are there songs that come out today for y'all that you listen to that are like 6-7 minutes long?
Yo, Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was it?
And Baby Keem, like Kendrick and Baby Keem, like put out some like.
Baby Keem, yeah.
What songs are by Kendrick that?
And I don't need a 7-minute song. I don't. Me personally. I don't.
Yeah.
But I don't
because
care
there are songs for me that I really like that came out this year that are like 7 minutes long.
Yes,
but
for sure.
Because like I feel like
Lil Dicky.
Yeah.
The Brain.
Yeah.
It's like 10-15 minutes. That's a whole movie.
Oh, Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. I think that's like 8 minutes long by Kendrick.
Is it?
Yes. Hold on, let me see. Right?
It's a beat switch too.
Yeah, the whole beat switch and everything like that.
I think
12 minutes. It's 12 minutes. And that shit is fire. Okay?
Sure.
From beginning to the end. That shit
But I will
is
say,
fire.
I'd rather listen to a 2.5 minute song if the 2.5 minutes good, than an 8-minute song if the 8-minute song.
Oh, of course. That feels like a waste. It feels like a waste of time. But I think like that's what I'm saying.
There is a time and place,
but that's what I'm saying. Like an aspect of like creating good music that is long. But I feel like some people feel limited because of people's attention spans, like you said, that they can't create something as expansive as that because they don't believe people will listen to all the way through. Some people even will create blank spots in their songs just for the people that they know that they'll probably just skip through. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was literally listening to Channel Orange the other day, right, by Frank. And Frank literally would add little blank spots in there, and then all of a sudden it comes into, like, a skit type of sound or something like that afterwards. But, like, for the people who just skip the song, they would never even know it's there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know? So, like, I think that there's some artists that realize that even reward the people that decide to sit through, you know what I'm saying, and listen to the entire project as a whole. You know?
I think that's why this whole, like, beat change in, like, one track is starting to come back more and everything. It's, like, I feel like artists want to kind of like how you were saying, like, tell a bit of a story from the artistic side and want to, like, get their point across and everything.
Yeah.
But people's attention span is so short, so do a beat change halfway through the song, keep the story going.
I really feel like I'm in the minority that thinks that people's attention span just isn't that short. Like,
you think it's long?
Yeah.
No?
Bro, I listen to 3-hour podcasts.
But do you listen to it intently, or is it background? You know what I'm saying? Are you honestly sitting up?
I don't think anybody's saying that every single person.
You guys don't watch movies?
Oh, yeah, but I'm the type of person. If a movie is an hour and a half or shorter, I know
you watch any
shows.
You watch any shows though?
Me?
Yeah, any TV shows?
I really won't keep up with them unless it was like Snowfall or something like that.
It's not so much that every single person's attention span is long. It's the people. It's younger people than you. Young people. It's these kids.
My point was that 3 minutes is short form content.
Oh, it is.
It's not a lot of time.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not a lot of time.
So I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm in the minority. I really feel like people, like, they spend all their time on TikTok because it's just that quick serotonin boost. You keep getting it, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, a lot of people spend a lot of time doing long-form activities.
They do, yeah. But
I think a lot of music nowadays, too, isn't the same, like, in the same sense of, like, a lot of artists, when they're singing or rapping or whatever, aren't really telling a story anymore. You know what I mean?
That's very true, too.
They're not telling a story. Like, you're not telling me a story if you go into the club railing lines and getting girls. Like, over and over and over and over. Like, you're not telling me a story like how, like, a lot of artists
I do feel that falls into the fact of what kind of artist are you. Because, like, there's a time and place for anything. Yeah. I can make a song about almost nothing and then for somebody's, entertainment, and then later on in the project have a full-fledged, theatrical song. I do feel like there is a time and place for any type of song. I think it just more falls in the line of, are you putting in work or you just throwing stuff out there, and
Let me ask you guys this though: do you guys think more people nowadays, like the average listener, are not caring about the information, but people go more off of a vibe nowadays, more so than anything?
vibe for sure.
Vibe for sure. Right?
You said, do they go?
Like, do they really care about what the artist is telling me? Or are they just going with the vibe because the lyrics sound good, the beat, and it's just, they're going off the vibe of the song?
Half these you can't even know, you don't even know what they're saying.
I mean, casual listener,
Yeah.
probably just going off the vibe.
The vibe.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on who you're listening to.
I
and what
agree.
You're
That's
listening
true.
for.
I agree.
That's very true.
That 808.
It's so funny.
Rage
Though.
beats.
I feel like the more you get in tune with music, the more you start to like break things apart. You know what I'm saying? Want to listen to the other aspects of it. Like for me, funny enough, bringing up Brent, like I listen to a lot of Brent's music, but there's some times where I'm listening to Brent's music, and I've listened to that shit like on loop. But I've never sat down sometimes and actually like listened to every single word he says. But I'm still like genuinely in love with the song because of like the overall production and the overall like energy that it creates. You know what I'm saying? That you're
I'm like that
listening
with Pop Smoke.
So, y'all have all mixed a record before.
Yeah.
So, have you guys ever listened to a song that you love from like, I don't know, you heard it when you were younger or something like that, and you just like, it's just in your brain, and then you hear it one day after you do a mix, and you're like, oh, and you start listening to it a little bit more in depth, and you're like, that sucks. Like, that sucks in that song.
Yes,
I would have
yes.
never done that in my mix, but now I love it, and I've always loved it.
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
never
yeah.
like
Picked it out like that.
thought about it
Yeah.
to do it that way or even go about it that way.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I think like just like especially as like you just grow to do more and more as like an engineer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You just start to pick out more and more stuff or like start learning more of those things. So I definitely agree with that. It's one of those things that I've experienced that quite a few times myself. You know? Yeah. I agree.
I think it falls in just that repetition of just doing things over and over again because your ears become tuned to not only where you're at but what you're doing as well.
Yeah.
Because if you try to do something right off the gate while learning, no matter what it is, and you try to do something crazy, it's mostly going to sound bad. But then you can start doing things that technically sound bad but also sound good.
Yeah.
True.
And that just comes from practice.
Mm-hmm. Like an example that I'll give for that is recently I was mixing a band. Shout out Texas Beach Band in Virginia, mixing their album. It's coming out soon. But I was mixing a lot of their stuff, and I come from a lot of like rap production, so I want my kick to hit, I want my snare to hit, like all that stuff to be like up front, feeling good. And I would go and I'd listen to like a lot of indie stuff, and it's just not hitting. It's all hi-hat noise. It's like all this crazy transient happening, and you got to go back and really think about it. And I'd be like, okay, well, certain songs obviously like will fit certain vibes.
Yeah.
But to go back and sit and be like, okay, well maybe this should sit like this because other records in the past that have proved to done well and like people respect it in the field sit like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, every genre or subgenre is going to have specific things. Like we know high mids and low end for pretty much anything hip hop based.
Yeah.
And then we know indie is very mid rangey.
Just like
the low end's a lot more softer and rounded out.
Tighter low end. And that's what the listeners expect, I think, a lot of times. And I'm all for stepping out the box too, giving a little bit of flavor to anything. But I think that's the biggest thing, and that's one of the hardest things about being an engineer is wanting to hear something a certain way, and then like you're trying to do it for the listener and for the artist, but also at the same time you want to do something that's different because you want to stand out. You don't want it to sound the same as everybody else. It's not fun.
True. I have like two more questions, or I have two more topics, and then we have to wrap this up. But because I didn't realize we've been talking this long. But so this is like one thing that actually goes into what you're saying as well, because I think it's kind of hard sometimes as an engineer to like make those decisions of like, am I mixing this thing based off of like what I wanted to hear, or am I mixing it in accordance to like what previous people have set forth as like the standard, you know what I'm saying? Because like you said, if you start mixing this thing like it's a hip hop track or something like that, you know what I'm saying, and it's not that type of track, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Am I being creative? Am I going down the wrong path? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Should you try to mix things in accordance to what's already been done before? You know?
That literally happened to me. I was mixing a record and I made the drums slap and the vocals were super up front and they were like, and I got feedback back and they were like, yeah, can you just make the kick drum a little less present.
Prominent.
Can you push the vocals like farther back in the mix? And my brain was like, what?
And when do you ever do this?
And then I really had to think about this because this was probably like 3 years ago or something like that. This is when I was like just starting to work with bands and just starting to really like, mic up kits. And like go through like all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I really had to like sit there and be like, okay, like let's think, like let's listen to a bunch of music first off, and then like think about it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that's the most important thing because you do need to kind of stay in that line of it because that's what they expect. You know, but I do find there's a difference in between mixing things the same way as everybody else is mixing. I think the sonics and how you mix are slightly different, or at least I look at them differently. So like if I'm doing, say, something out of hip hop and I want some of that flavor that I normally have or things that I like to do or you know, if it comes to like maybe some more distortion or saturation or something, I may add a little bit more, but I wanted to mix it in to the point where it still fits the sonic character of what they're going for.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's at least for me, I feel like that usually helps a little bit more because you kind of get a little bit of everything. But it is important and also stressful to work something that's kind of out of your comfort zone. Because when you hear it, you're hearing it like the way you think it should sound, and then you know you're not so accustomed to what they feel it should sound like.
True.
And ultimately, you got to do it for the band, you got to do it for yourself, and you got to do it for the listeners.
Yeah.
And then find that balance in between. So I think it's all balance more than it is like either you're doing this wrong or right or.
Well, I have like one last question. It doesn't relate to either of the topics that we initially came in here with, but it kind of dives into like what we were just talking about in terms of like mixing and stuff like that. Like we were just talking about like that one guy that got like the raw stems for Michael Jackson's song, right? As you guys as engineers, let's say you had like a super iconic song, right? That you love, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. You get the raw stems for it, but you think like this, like I said, this is like your pinnacle song. Would you go and remix it? With your own style.
I'm making it a drill beat being famous on
I feel like there's this aspect of like, should I touch this masterpiece? You know what I'm saying? And
if it's the raw stems, I definitely would because I would definitely go in and everything. I mean, that's the only way you're gonna learn. Like you're gonna like go in, like remix it and everything, and then A and B it. Like call yourself out and be like, damn, I suck at high end. Like I need to learn like.
Okay,
my
so you're saying like it's like a learning experience.
Yeah, I think that's the only way you're gonna be a better producer, engineer. I mean, you've got to throw yourself into the flames a couple times to like really learn this shit.
True.
You know.
True. I think I'm working on it, but I'm probably not showing anybody.
Yeah, it's not.
I think it's for me and like my close friends. I'm like, hey, that's good.
I worked on this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I'm probably not showing anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I'm probably not making a video of this is how I did this.
Yeah. I literally thought about that because I was like, damn, like, this is Billie Jean. Could I ever touch this record?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is, like, don't get me, like, I was listening to, like, the raw stuff of this thing sounds beautifully tracked. You know what I'm saying? Like, and everything. I'm listening to them, like, shall I dare put my hands on this? You know? Because it's, like, it's of that caliber.
Maybe sometimes you can make it better. You never know.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. And then, like, the guy who was doing the video, he did his own mix of it. You know what I'm saying? He recorded the entire process of him doing it, like, the final thing and everything like that. But I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like it's almost like the respect of the song itself makes me not want to mess with it, but at the same time, me as an engineer, I'm like, this is like prime material.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
Yeah,
it's like creme de la creme.
Yeah, I feel like I'd mix it. I feel like I'd like do what Keon said, A/B it just to see like
where I'm at.
What I would have done, like what I would have chosen. But it also goes to like we're not working with the same gear that they had.
No, that's very true too. That's very true too. Yeah,
and it's like what really did they do post recording? Because a lot of the stuff that they did recording wise back then, they tried to get a lot of this stuff to sound how they wanted it to sound.
In the mix.
Like immediately when they were recording it.
Yeah.
Putting preamps, compressors like on input.
Yeah, they were like tracking it with the compressors and everything already.
I remember like they said for like one of the like his background vocals and stuff like that, Michael was actually like speaking through a 6 foot like carbon, not 6 foot, probably shorter than that, but it was a really long like cardboard like we said like out of like you say your paper towel.
Oh, like a paper towel, yeah.
He would do that so it would sound like longer or deep, you know what I'm saying, like reverb almost essentially, you know what I'm saying, like farther back in the mix, and you would do that and actually like sing into that and then let that hit the mic, which is like we would never think about it. We're like, yo, just do that shit in post. You know what I'm saying, like why?
That's why tracking is so important. I feel like it is not a lost art. Because there's plenty of good studios, tracking engineers, you know, all over the world.
Yeah.
Different countries, all this. But it's so important because if you think about it, like if you get something as close as you can get going in, not only are you kind of going away from the fact of being like confusing yourself by changing it up too much and being like, do I like this or this? No, you commit, and that's what you have.
Search you too.
All right, so now you got that to go with, and then also you get as close to sound. Now you're taking out a lot of that subtractive EQing, a lot of that processing power that you're using on your computer, a lot of extra stuff. So now you're just left with the creative part. That's what can I creatively do, and then it's gonna sound phenomenal no matter what your setup is. You can just have a basic setup. It's probably, if you know what you're doing, it's probably going to sound good because it already sounds good.
That's very true.
So you gotta actually try to mess it up for it to sound good.
That's very valid. I mean,
So, before we get out of here, I have one last little question on that kind of related topic, or this kind of related topic.
Yeah.
Rather. So, a lot of these like big records, like Michael Jackson's records or whatever, they'll have these like iconic synths or something, or even iconic microphones on them.
Yeah.
And I always wonder about it because these people that were recording that track, like let's just say you have like an old Juno, right?
Yeah.
You have the Juno, and now you have like emulations of the Juno that goes like plug-in wise.
Yeah.
But what we're not getting with the plug-in was the preamp it went through, the compressor it went through,
all the warmth and everything.
all the analog like warmth and feel that you got from it. So people like download these emulators, they play some like stock preset that's on like this Juno 5, and they're like, it sucks.
Yeah,
it's like, you didn't have the $20,000
system I was running through. Yeah.
So I just wonder, like, what place do you think analog will always hold a place in music production?
I think
feel
so.
like it will.
I think that it will. And I was actually watching this guy do a actually like an analytical like audio type of review of the Fusion. So like SSL released like the plugin version of the Fusion, right? You know what I'm saying? So what he did is actually take like like an actual input, same input, look at the output, and then use like a spectrum analyzer and things like that to actually see the differences between the two. And so what he would actually be able to do is like move certain knobs on the actual Fusion and compare it to the actual knobs being used in the plugin. And what he found was that specifically in the low end was completely different. So like you would turn like something on the actual plugin, it'll just ramp up the low end. You know what I'm saying? It'll just muddy up the mix and things like that. But if you would look at the actual Fusion hardware, it actually stayed linear throughout all of it. You know what I'm saying? So like you can just tell like either there's a part of it in terms of like how much do they want to emulate it to the actual analog piece, because at the end of the day, if you make your digital to the point that it matches your analog, then what's the point of buying the analog, right? Yeah. But at the same time, the analog is also going to have this sound regardless, because it's rural life. You know what I'm saying? It can change. It's gonna. You know what I'm saying? It just has those other like real world elements that can change its sound.
It's electrons firing.
Exactly. Rather than it be a calculation that is exact every single time.
I think the biggest thing that people will always have this conversation as long as music is in existence, as long as engineers are in existence. Yeah. The main thing is, with most plugins that are emulating stuff, it's the plate, like the face plate. It's the actual, what it looks like.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, like, if it's a Juno, it's going to look like a Juno.
Yeah.
But they don't have licensing to fully recreate.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, for sure. There's some people that have the actual,
the Waves 2A is literally just the faceplate. And then, like, what, as close as they could feel, this is our take on the 2A. Now, at the same time...
Well, that's what they are. They're emulators.
Right. But there's some companies like UA, like, they actually they purchase blueprints to certain things, gear that they created in the past, which they have, countless amount of gear. So they're in that 5 percentile, like, within 5% of it. So I think emulations are getting a lot closer as time goes on. But at the same time, emulations are always going to sound a little bit different. Doesn't mean it's going to sound worse or better or not. It's just going to work for certain aspects or certain songs or this. A real Juno may sound better in this application, but this specific plugin or VST, that is emulating it might sound better for this track. You know, it may not always fit. But yeah, that's my only thing on it is like, one's not necessarily better or worse. It's just what it fits with.
I just have one more thing on that.
Yeah, sure.
There's actually a pretty big difference between like what Taylor just said in terms of like someone trying to emulate something versus actually being like licensed from the manufacturer, right? Because like I remember when I started doing some research in terms of like Apogee's actual like plugins that they use. Like Apogee's Pultec emulation is like one of the only people that's actually been approved by Pultec to actually emulate one of their pieces and actually sound like that hardware. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that is not noticed. You know what I'm saying? When people say, "Oh, I have this emulation of this actual plugin or this actual hardware," be. And then the other piece into that as well, like you brought up the tracking aspect of it. Just because you have a emulation of this one piece doesn't mean you're going to get the sound of somebody else running this the same thing because you're still missing the other pieces that came before it.
Yeah. So bouncing off that, do you guys think that it's even like? Do you think we put too much stock in these things, like the emulator of like the CL1B?
Like in terms of like hype into it.
Like like as a community of people who make music. It's just like, oh, it's used on this amazing record for these vocals, and I love how these vocals sound, but I don't know if I'm gonna get that same vocal sound.
I don't think I think it's impossible. You can't, especially if it's based off of hardware. You'll never get that same sound.
I know. So do you think it's overhyped, or do you think it's just right where it needs to be, and it's like
I think
this is a good question.
That is,
I honestly think it depends because there's some clones that are just phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But at the same time, is like if you're say the CL1B, I have a lot of experience with the outboard CL1B. You could literally throw any vocal, any instrument on a thing, it's going to sound good.
Now you're talking about the UA stuff. Have you used the UA?
Yeah. CL1B? I own a lot of the UA stuff.
Have you been able to A/B those, like a live version and
no, I haven't. Actually,
because I did one time, and there is a noticeable difference.
So the MK2 UA plugin is a lot closer than the original soft tube CL1B, but there is a huge difference. That's one of the few plugins like from UA. Now it sounds really good. I use the UA one almost anytime I track at my studio, and I obviously don't have the real outboard CL1B, but I have friends that have it, and I've gone to their studios, recorded on it myself, also recorded other people on them. There is a huge difference, but the UA ones are super solid. I like them. MK2 is really, really good, though. There is a huge notable difference, and I think a big thing with outboard gear that strikes me, or what I like from them, is that you're getting a lot more power. You know, they have their own power units. You know, you're getting a lot of power. It's an actual signal that's flowing through. And it also tames those really high mids and high end that gets boosted in electric items or like computer softwares, which is hurts the ear, and some frequencies are harmful to the ear. So having that smoothed off, it's a lot easier to work with.
All right, so what's the final verdict on it? Overhyped or not?
I don't think it's either or.
Emulators.
You think emulators are? But you're asking is the emulation of the actual pieces overhyped?
Or should like producers be looking at more stuff that comes out today? Because like the software that comes out today is so good, and we're spending all this processing trying to emulate other stuff when we could just be trying to make stuff better.
I was about to say this. That's
my question. Overhyped.
Yes, I believe it's overhyped in the aspect of this because we always try to go back to this one piece that we're trying to make sound like this specific thing, but why are we not just trying to get an overall better sound?
We're not trying to progress in it.
Yes, we're just trying to emulate this thing that we saw in the past that sounded really good. That's great and all, but how much are we actually creating new pieces, you know what I'm saying, of hardware and things like that, you know what I'm saying, to create specific sound?
Like everyone's trying to make
I think there's some company, Kush Audio's killing it. They're Colorphonics. That's an outboard piece of gear. They have a plugin as well.
But do they have the hype behind it? That's the question, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, does it have the hype behind it that these other guys saying, like, hey, you know, am I aiming to create this piece? You know what I'm saying?
Or even not even doesn't have to be hardware, just software in general.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's overhyped. I think it's overhyped.
Yeah.
I believe it's overhyped.
Yeah, everyone like for example, like Waves, everyone is making a 2A. Everyone is making like a 2A and everything like that. And it's like instead of trying to recreate like the 2A and everything, like the CLA 2A, like why don't we try to create like a better like opto compressor and everything like that?
Yeah,
you know?
It could be in a digital realm too. It could be.
I agree.
It could be just in a digital realm.
I think that's generally what they're doing, though. I mean, if you read like any of these clone companies or software companies that make plugins, it's always, this is our take on the 2A and stuff. So really what they are doing is they're taking something that everybody knows from Steam, because they know they're going to have an easier chance of selling it. And then they're going, this is our take on it, because that is the go-to opto compressor.
Yeah.
This is the go-to tube a very mute compressor. Because it's based off of it's a very mute.
Yeah, there's emulators for a reason.
But you see, but that's where it messes it up. Because when you say this is our version of this 2A, now people are going to say, I'm going to A and B this 2A to the real thing. You know what I'm saying? And if that's not the goal, you know what I'm saying, then like, why are we comparing the two?
That's true.
You know? I think real engine.
Does it sound the same? Well, then we shouldn't be trying to market it like it's the 2A. You know what I'm saying?
I guess.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you guys do. You know what I'm saying? Am I going to compare this to the real thing? It doesn't sound like it.
It's like rocking a fake Gucci bag.
But
I mean, it's still a good bag, but is it Gucci?
I don't think it's supposed to, though. I think it's supposed to react similarly. It's supposed to act similarly.
Yeah.
The attack speed, the release speed,
how it's
supposed
designed
to be similar to how this would react to it. I don't think it's supposed to sound exactly the same. I think it's supposed to actually
Gucci
like
bags fake till you see the tag. Very true till you hear the real version.
I don't know. I'm saying it's
You think it's right in the right spot?
I think it's in a good spot. I think we're in a really good spot when it comes to gear and equipment. I think a lot of people are still on the hybrid setup. I'm a huge fan of hybrid. I like analog and I like digital. I like the ease of digital, and I think they are continuously making things more compatible so you can have that ease but still have that flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I do like about the thing I think is that kind of is maybe overhyped, or the thing I would probably label the software as overhyped, is if I buy a plug-in of a 2A, and then Elijah buys that same plug-in, it's going to sound the same. If I buy an actual Teletronics 2A and he buys a Teletronics 2A, they're going to sound slightly different.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It limits
That's a really good point.
You limits that uniqueness, because, like I said, digital anything is going to be the exact copy. There's no randomness. You cannot create randomness.
Yeah,
that's
true. You know what I'm saying? Like that's literally like a programming thing. You cannot create randomness. You know what I'm saying? So like it's just always going to sound the same every single time. Consistency is great sometimes, but I feel like in terms of the creative world, you want difference. You know?
True.
So,
The listener's not going to know either way, regardless.
That's very true. It's only going to be us that's going to be picking it out, but it is what it is. Yeah. But I mean, hey, that's episode 2.
A bit of a long one, but hey, man, we're all engineer nerds.
Well, we will be recording episode 3. You know what I'm saying, soon. Hopefully we can have Lucas come in again. You know what I'm saying, to speak on that. That would be great. But yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what we'll be touching on next time, but we'll just
more music shit.
Yeah, more music.
More of what we love, and hopefully what everyone else loves to listen to and hear about. So appreciate everyone listening. Thank you guys.
For sure.
Yeah.
See
We'll see you guys next one.
Yeah.